Welcome to Cheers. I'm your host, Avery Woods. The following episode contains sensitive topics of suicide that could potentially trigger emotional distress or discomfort. Please listen with caution. Remember, it's okay to take a break or skip the episode if needed. Hi guys, welcome back to the Cheers podcast. I'm your host, Avery Woods. Welcome to the new studio. It looks so beautiful. David worked on it all day, I think on Saturday. I can't even remember what day it was, but he killed it. He did such a good job. I just wanted more like a moody, clean vibes. I think it's much more simple, cozy, relaxing. I just love it so much. Obviously, we have these cute little pink chairs, and then I got another pink chair for when we have guests. But today we are doing a little rapid Q&A girly talk. I asked what you guys wanted me to talk about, and I assumed you guys would have submitted subjects for me to just rant about, but I got pulled in so many different directions and so many different subjects. So I was like, let's just do a rapid Q&A. So we're going to chat it up, and we have a trip planned in 2 weeks to go to LA, and we have some fun guests. So I can't wait for that. But yeah, let's get into it. I had a lot of questions asking about Ziggy being bullied at school, and I don't want to go too much into it, but I just want to touch on it because obviously I have shared on social media. But I I just think it's nothing that I ever was prepared for, having a kindergartner. I think, we've obviously had situations with our oldest two girls, but they're 14 and 12. That I expect. I expect in junior high for kids to be mean and to say not nice things. That's when, no, I would say the first time I ever got bullied was about in fifth grade. But I think for girls, especially, bullying starts like junior high-ish. But when my 5-year-old came home and started having some certain opinions about what he was wearing, and I kind of had to pry out of him that a sixth grader was bullying him, I was shocked to say the least. Obviously, we have been in communication with his teacher about it and other staff members. But it just makes me so sad that that's happening to him. And it first happened when he was picking out Crocs for back to school clothes shopping, and he was so excited about his duck Crocs. And then all of a sudden one day he was like, "Yeah, no, these aren't school shoes, these are travel shoes." And I was like, "What are you talking about, travel shoes?" And I was like, "You don't want to wear your duck Crocs?" He's like, "No, I want to wear my camo Crocs." And I was like, "Okay." I didn't really think about it right then and there because we were in such a rush for school. But then the next day, he was wearing a shirt that was so cute from Zara, and it was a little doggy, and I think it said like adios or something on it. I can't remember. But he came home and he's like, "This shirt is so silly. I don't want to wear this shirt." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "This shirt is so cute. Like, he's never been a kid to like care about what he wears. He just is a boy and is wild and wants to have fun." And then I was like, "Okay, this is starting to become a pattern." And then we were laying in bed one night and I had asked him, and Ziggy is not one to ever tattle. He doesn't want other kids to get in trouble. He just wants to be everyone's friend. And he's also the kind of kid that like I've witnessed multiple times different kids like hitting him at the park, or like even Stevie, beating him up. And he just stands there and takes it. Like he won't even hit back because he's such a sweet soul. And so I pried it out of him, and he finally told me that there was a boy that was much older than him, that had pushed him down on the playground twice, where teachers had witnessed it, and was making fun of what he was wearing. And so we had talked to the teachers about it. And also on Crazy Hair Day, he just had School Spirit Week. That same boy told him he didn't like his hair, and he also said that his name was stupid. So we're I don't know. I'm frustrated because I feel like my 5-year-old is being targeted by a sixth grader who's what is that, like 11, 12 years old, and that shouldn't be happening, especially when multiple teachers are witnessing it happening. That boy should not be around my son. So if it keeps becoming an issue, then I'm gonna start making a big stink about it because I will not have my child bullied. And David and I have a very different perspective on this, which we have talked about, or I talked about on my Instagram stories. But by the way, trigger warning, suicide, because I'm going to talk about it. And this is very morbid, but I have had kids as young as 11 years old, attempt suicide and not make it because, it was too late and they had an anoxic brain injury. David has held children's legs up because he's had incidences where kids will use their phone cord to hang themselves in their closet because kids on Facebook told him to. And my son is turning 6 next month, and he's only 5 years away from that. And he is at the age now where he starts to remember things. Like, I remember things in kindergarten, 1st grade, and I don't want that to build up in his mind and more incidences to happen for him to ever want to do that or feel so low about himself that he would consider doing that. It would obviously be detrimental, and that's my biggest fear. And I know that's just thinking the most extreme, but unfortunately with my past career and David's past career, we can't help but think that way, and that's just how our brains are wired, because I would rather prepare for the worst if that means taking him out of this school or, going above and beyond, getting lawyers involved. If that needs to happen, then that needs to happen. I will do whatever it takes to keep my child safe. And when he's in school, he should be safe. And unfortunately, right now, I don't feel like he is. And that's a huge issue to us. So we are kind of taking it from there. And the reason I chose to talk about it on social media is because I think it's important for parents to understand that this kind of stuff is happening and your children might not be telling you, or your child might be the bully. And I also spoke on Instagram about this, about how, my biggest haters are moms. And for whatever reason, I get a lot of hate from moms, whether they don't like my parenting, they don't like how open and honest I am, they don't like, I don't know, the fact that I have massive tits, whatever the case may be. I don't care. But unfortunately, I do feel like those moms have said such evil things to me, and I'll click on their profile and it's like mama 4, loving mama 4 in their bio, and it has pictures of their kids. And I want to be like, what type of kids are you raising? If you are so confident to use your personal profile to, or even a fake one, to say such god awful things about me publicly or DM me, what kind of children are you raising at home? Because what if your kids saw that? Would you be proud? Would you be proud of your kids seeing you say these awful things? And unfortunately, my kids do have a little bit more of a target on their back because of what I do for a living. And I will not put up with any of that shit. So that's kind of where we're at with the situation. And I wanted to bring to light to it on social media for really what I said. I've had a lot of, tons of parents message me saying that they've had the same kind of issues where they had to pry it out of their kids. And I just feel so sad that so many kids feel scared to talk about it because, they could feel threatened by the kid or whoever's bullying them. But it's just something that my husband and I don't tolerate. And so that's where we're at with this journey, and we'll see kind of how it moves forward. Okay, I've had a lot of people ask about living in Arizona and kind of our experience here. And I will say, I love Arizona. Obviously, David and I are both from California. David's from San Diego area. He actually did spend the majority of his childhood in northern Arizona. Um, but I I was moved here at 10 years old, right before I went to junior high school, and I hated it because I was such a California kid. And then my plan when I turned 18 and graduated high school was I was going to immediately move back to California. But then I got a scholarship to stay here for college, and so I ended up staying here because I didn't want student loans, and if I went to California, I would be an out-of-state resident. So I stayed here to do my prerequisites before nursing school, and then I ended up meeting David my freshman year. So obviously we ended up staying here. But it's so interesting because I feel like the more successful I become, the more people expect me to uproot. And For me, the biggest thing is my kids having a permanent home base. I was moved a ton as a child. Before we came to Arizona, I went to like 4 different elementary schools in 1 year, and I'm talking like in different states. It wasn't like around California or Arizona. Like we were moving to multiple states because my parents couldn't figure out where they wanted to be. And unfortunately, my sister and I were just kind of like dragged on throughout different areas and would be in school for a couple weeks or a couple months and then we'd be moving again. And I that was very traumatizing to me because I would just be starting school in the middle of a semester and have no friends. And that's when bullying started for me too. Especially because that's like such an important part of a young woman's life. That's like, when you start getting boobs and start your period and then people start bullying you and it was really hard. So I just don't want to pull my kids out of not just school, but their environment and from their people. Obviously, they have their auntie and uncle and Callie and crew here. We have so many close friends. We've been in our house since 2019. I've talked very openly about how we are planning on moving. I actually did it actually just popped up a couple weeks ago. It's been over a year since I toured that one house. We started looking for homes over a year ago, which is crazy. We just haven't found the one that has motivated us to move. So we're planning on probably next summer, but we'll see. But I don't think we would ever leave Arizona permanently because we don't really have anyone anywhere else. Obviously, we have my parents, but they are now getting divorced after 45 years. So that's also like a different situation. But we've been loving kind of what we started this summer, which is living in a new place for a month or so. We went to Kauai this month or this summer in June for a whole month, and that was amazing. Next summer, we're planning on probably doing Coronado because we obviously lived in San Diego for a while and we love it there. It's a little bit closer to Arizona. We can bring our cars. It's close to a major airport if I have to travel for work or the podcast. So we'll kind of test that out. I think maybe we'd buy like a rental property or vacation home somewhere, but I just want a lot of land for my kids and a one-story house that's a bit smaller. I feel like our house is too big, and it's just so funny because it's like opposite. Like as I found more success, I want a simpler life because even though you get to a point in life where you're able to buy yourself anything and everything, you get to a point where you're like, this isn't important. Like, this isn't what matters in life. And so I'm so grateful for everything I have and to give my kids these amazing experiences and travel. But I just want them to have a good childhood and a good life. And it's funny because even when we look at real estate and homes, even going like 30 minutes from here feels so far away because all of our people are like in this neighborhood slash community. Like everyone's within about 10 minutes of us. So I told David, I was like, if we are not even wanting to move 30 minutes from our people, there's no way in hell we could survive living out of state from our people. So that's kind of where we're at. Obviously, I'll update you guys on moving and all of that. But for now, we're happy with the location of where we're at. We just want a different home. So another reason why we want a different home is because unfortunately our safety has been compromised so many times. I don't know why people think it's okay to show up to our home. It happens on a weekly basis. And that is why websites like Reddit should not exist because not only do they spread so many horrible lies about people on Reddit, but they like to leak the layout of your home and your address. And I just think it's so fucked because you're just compromising the safety of my children. But that's a whole different story. So that's kind of the update on moving. So many questions about content creation, going from nursing to content creation, which I've kind of touched on in the past, but I I love helping people try. I actually had a girl stop me on the lake yesterday, and she had stopped me in the gym and she had asked for like TikTok advice. And so we had talked for like 10 minutes. I gave her TikTok advice, and then she stopped me on the lake because she had seen me again. And she's like, I followed your advice and I had a TikTok video go viral. Like that shit makes me so happy. I love helping people because I figured it out on my own for like 7, 8 years before it ever took off. And it sucks. Like, you just feel like you're drowning trying to keep your head above water, and you're like, you doubt yourself. You're like, am I good enough? I'm competing with all of these young, beautiful women. I'm like, what do I have that they don't? But what you have to remind yourself is not everyone is the same, and people always look for different people to follow for different content. That's the beautiful thing about social media. Like, you might follow me for X, Y, and Z, but you follow someone else for ABC. You know what I'm saying? So I think the number one thing is obviously consistency. If you're trying to make it on social media, that's huge. Um, I think it is really hard to push past the hate. And I've had so many people tell me that they've had a video go viral, and that's when a lot of hate came. And so they just gave up. No matter what you post, you're going to get hate once you get to a certain level. And I've had creators at like 500,000 followers be like, I just don't understand like how you get so much hate. Like, I really don't see a lot. I didn't start getting hate until I would say I hit past like 1 million followers on TikTok. And that's when it really started coming, because TikTok was pushing me on a lot of people's For You pages. And it's random strangers that are watching your content that are gonna hate you the most, because they don't know who you are as a person, as a wife, as a mom, as a friend. And that's the other thing too, is that people just don't know you for you, and you just have to be prepared for that. But as far as social media, this is gonna be very, like, taboo for me to say, because a lot of people wouldn't agree with this. Like, a lot of old school Instagram influencers would say, like, "Stick to one niche and go with that. That's your brand." I don't agree with that. I think that actually closes off avenues for you. I am considered, like, a lifestyle creator, so I do makeup, beauty, fashion, skincare, motherhood, vlogs, gym. There's so many different avenues that I do, because I like just showing different aspects of my life depending on the day and depending on things that I'm passionate about. And it also brings more revenue when it comes to working with brands, because if you're just working in fashion, you're only going to have fashion brands work out or like reach out in order to work with you. If you're only doing hair, you're only going to have hair companies. Whereas if you're doing multiple different subjects, or what am I trying to say? Alleyways, you're going to have more opportunity to work with different brands, which is amazing. So I also think I had it very, very different. Like, Em and I were talking about this not that long ago, but we're both with Smith and Saint, that's our management company. She had Smith and Saint reach out to sign her when she only had like, I think 75,000 followers, which was insane. Like, so cool. Cause they see that prediction, right? That she's going to take off and has so much potential. I did not sign with a management company until I had over 1 million people following me on TikTok. That is a lot of work for someone to do on their own, and I know people are so, like, judgmental about the amount of work that goes into social media, which I get. That was my opinion when I was working full-time as an ICU nurse, and I was like, "Fuck these content creators for making millions of dollars for doing nothing," but now I can see both sides. But a management team goes through all your emails and negotiates for you, so I did all of that myself in the beginning, and that was really, really hard. So having a management team really helped with that. But just stay consistent, don't give up. Make sure you are posting high quality content. I think that makes a big deal, or I'm sorry, a big difference in your content. I prefer to film on my back camera because I feel like that gives higher quality videos. And just see what's trending. Follow whatever's trending, trending sounds, um, trending voiceovers, whatever you can do that you see people doing and it's picking up, that's going to pick up for you as well. Also, a lot of people were asking me about like hashtags and stuff. Hashtags now on TikTok don't matter if you are speaking of the subject, is kind of like what I was told. I have a TikTok contact, and she said whatever you're talking about in the video is picked up by AI. So I'll do hashtags on videos that are like, I don't know, a voiceover or like a quick funny thing. Other than that, I won't. Sobriety tips. I want to start, but I am a sales rep for beer and it's hard. I totally get that, especially because your job, you're like right in the middle of it. I think find an alternative drink. like for me, I've been obsessed with David got these little vials. They look like a vanilla extract and they have 10 milligrams of THC per capful. And I've been putting that in like my Dr. Pepper and my Diet Coke. So bomb. Like so good. Gives me something to drink that's enjoyable, gives me like a little bit of a buzz, but it is an alcohol. And I love that. Also, I feel like if you are into marijuana, I feel like just finding a good drink to kind of like distract you. I also think once you get past the hump, it's so much easier. Like I would say my hump was like the month mark and Vegas was the biggest tester for me, but yeah, I would say just try it, rip the band-aid off. And what do they say? What makes a habit? 21 days, I think. That's like the thing that everyone says like when you're trying to hit the gym, go for 21 days and you'll create a habit. That helps a lot. So try 21 days, see if that helps. I feel like that's going to make a big difference. Okay, lots of questions about my lipo procedure I had done like probably over 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. I used to have an Instagram highlight where I literally recorded the entire process, but people like to screenshot those and post them on the internet and say nasty things. So I said, no, I'm good. Yes, so I got lipo on my lower abdomen. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I 100% regret that procedure. I wish I wouldn't have gotten it. I think I was fairly newly postpartum and really insecure on my body. And so I wanted to do a quick fix and I was able to get it done for free because it was at the salon, like the med spa I worked at as a nurse injector. But the scars it gave me were not worth it. And honestly, it helped a little bit above like my C-section scar, but my body did not become what it was until I found my like correct workout regimen for my body type. And my workout split right now is Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, Pilates, and then Tuesday, Thursday, I lift with David at the gym. Take the weekends off. You guys know I don't diet. I don't believe in dieting. I eat everything in moderation. But if I withhold like food from myself, I will binge and purge. And that's something I've had an issue with in the past. But anywho's is I got lipo done. They didn't do 360 lipo. They went like through the top of my belly button downward a little bit, kind of above my C-section scar, and then a little bit on my flanks. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I wish I wouldn't have done it because I just, at that time, mental health wise and body image wise, I just wanted to look a certain way and I should have just waited. But when a free procedure is offered to you and you think it's going to be amazing, you kind of just take it. But yeah, I'm doing scar treatment right now for my lipo scars because I hate them so much. And I'm also such an honest book that if it would have made the biggest difference on my body, I would have been like, yeah, it was such a slay. I looked so much different. But I really didn't see a change in my body until probably the last like 2 or 3 months. So is when I really started like tone up because I changed my lifestyle. I stopped drinking. I started working out really consistently and really hard. And that's what made the biggest difference in my body. I still am insecure about like the loose skin on my stomach, but it's not something that I feel like is necessary to get a tummy tuck scar over. Um, so yeah, that's what happened with my lipo. But I'm not saying to get lipo is a bad thing at all. I'm fully supportive of anyone that gets plastic surgery. I would just say get it done at a reputable place with a good plastic surgeon that's going to know what they're doing when it comes to scars because I unfortunately were left with massive scars. How to not give a fuck about other people and the best way to have a positive mentality. Girl, that's my expertise. I I think as you grow older, your mindset changes. And as I approach 30, I just have a different outlook of life and I've kind of prioritized what's important. I literally just showed Scott this profile of this nasty fucking bitch named Kelsey. Hey, Kelsey, I'm sure you're watching this because you're obsessed with me. And she had messaged me the most vile things I've ever read. And I just sit here laughing because I'm about to go expose her my Instagram stories and I can't wait. To a year ago, I would have cried myself to sleep over that. But I'm like, Kelsey, just go improve your life and do what makes you happy. Why the fuck are you worrying about me? Like, if you really didn't like me, you would just block me. She's been messaging me consistently since May, so clearly she doesn't have much going on in her life. But it's just one of those things where it doesn't matter. Does it matter what someone else thinks about you? And do you want to change that part of you? And I would hope the answer is no. I think a lot of people take hate as constructive criticism when they shouldn't. It's an outsider's opinion that doesn't matter, that doesn't care about you, that doesn't like you. And that's that. So I just focus on what's in front of me. I block people that don't matter. And the people that get so up in a tizzy about creators blocking them, I'm like, maybe you should be respectful or just not follow me or comment on my shit. Like, content creators are in charge of what is on their page, who watches their page, who's commenting on their page. And if it's disrespectful stuff, we have the right to block you. And I think that's important. I also think in life, if people are giving you a hard time and judging you or talking shit behind your back, bye. Like, you don't have time for that. And I've gone through that multiple times in my life with so many friends. And I'm so glad I went through that because now I have my people and I'm good. I'm surrounded by so much positivity. And if you are surrounded by positivity, it shouldn't matter anyways because the outside noise is just that, it's noise. How do you discipline your kids? Ooh, I like this one. So, we do not believe in physical punishment in my house, and that is because of a few things. Number 1, David was very physically abused as a child, and number 2, David and I have seen too much child abuse in our past careers to ever do that. I've never even spanked my kids. I think that there is a way to go about disciplining your kids without using physical punishment. Our thing is I feel like our kids know, like, we can use our stern voice and even give them a look, and they just kind of know. My rule of thumb at this stage in life is for timeouts, we do 1 minute per age. So, they rarely are in timeout. I'll say they're honestly really good kids, but, like, for Stevie, she's 3, so if she's in timeout for 3 minutes, and that happens if she's, hitting brother because she's not sharing or grumpy or whatever the case may be. We have a chair in the living room that they know they'll have to sit in, and we'll put a timer on for 3 minutes for her. And for Ziggy, it'd be 5 minutes because he's 5. We split our screen time, and I feel like that's helped a lot. We let them have screen time in the mornings before school while they're eating breakfast, because honestly, they're up for like 20 minutes before they go to school, and it's the only way they'll stay still when they get their hair done. But a lot of playing outside helps with their behavior a lot. I've noticed a huge difference when they get their energy out because they're not all cooped up inside. But we'll just kind of get to eye level with them and tell them what they did was not okay. If they say something not nice, we'll tell them like that's not nice. That hurts mommy's feelings, your daddy's feelings, or Stevie's feelings, Ziggy's feelings, whatever the case may be. And then if they get physical, that's when they'll have an actual like timeout and be separated. Also, taking away their iPads. We'll tell them like you don't get tablet time in the morning if you're gonna act like that. And we also try not to spoil them too much. I feel like we got in routine where it was like every time we went to Target, they got a toy. No, they don't need a toy every time we go to fucking Target. So that's kind of a habit that we've been breaking for them. But other than that, for discipline, we get down to eye level with them. We talk to them like a grown up in a way that they're going to understand. No physical punishment. And then we'll do timeouts if necessary. The story of when David proposed to you. This is actually such a funny story. I just told this to our friends not that long ago, but uh our first date was at Postino, which we still go to all the time in Gilbert, and we sat right next to the fireplace. And it was the night after I turned 21. I thought he was gonna propose the day I turned 21, like on my birthday, but he ended up taking me to dinner and he proposed that night. And later, I found out that he had planned to take me back to Postino in the same spot that we had our first date, and he was gonna hire a photographer and do like the whole thing in front of the restaurant. And I had told him, like, randomly, I said, "Hey, if you ever propose, like, let's not make it a public thing. I'm not good with that kind of stuff. I get really embarrassed and I have major social anxiety." So he was in his head like, "Shit, I gotta figure out a new plan." So I was in nursing school. I was sitting at the counter typing on my laptop in my underwear. I don't even know if I had a top on. I can't even remember at this point. At the bar stool, and he came up next to me and he like kind of hugged me, but like at the waist, like he was like down on his knees. And I was like, "Are you trying to fuck? Like, what's going on?" And then he was like kind of fiddling behind me and he was like, "I love you so much. Like, I want to spend the rest of my life with you." And I'm like, "Okay, me too. Like, I'm trying to fucking get work done. What the fuck? I'm in nursing school." And then he pulled around the ring and he's like, "Avery Elizabeth Woods, will you marry me?" And I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" I literally was in shock because it was just completely unexpected. It was just the two of us. It wasn't filmed, there wasn't pictures. Like, it was just such a special in the moment type moment. And I'll remember it forever. And I remember him opening the ring box and I was like, "Holy shit," which I don't have any rings on. I just realized that. Ew, I feel so naked. And I was like, "Holy shit, look at that ring." I put it on and then I was just jumping around the house or our apartment, our little like 700 square foot, one bedroom apartment, so excited. And then I called all my friends and family and sent them photos. It was just so special. I loved it. All right, that was a quickie little short Q&A, but I do have to go to a meeting. But we have lots planned for our next few guests. I'm really excited. A lot of you ask who the guests are, but I like to make it a surprise because I like you guys living on the edge. But I love you so much. I hope you enjoy the new studio. Let us know how you like it because I'm obsessed with it. Love you guys. Cheers.